Hey everybody, welcome back to another beautiful day in real estate. Today we're going to dive into a little bit of oil production and what's going on there. We're going to talk about a few stories in the real estate space, and we're going to go over interest rates as we always do. So, sun's shining, spring's around the corner. It's starting to feel like spring. You're getting terrible offers on listings that set over the winter because it's like I don't know, the beginning to end of March, it's like people are coming out of the woodwork. They're like, well, this house sat since December. It sat since October, so it's worth 10% less. And you're like, nope, my seller's not going to entertain an offer like that. And I mean, it might work for some people. Some people are panicking and they need to get their house sold. And you look at the Google rate, it can't sell my house. That search has been up significantly higher. But this happened last year in the spring market. I got a bunch of terrible offers, and then the market went on a run again for me, I guess. I don't know how it went for a lot of people, but for me, it went pretty well, right? So I'm kind of gearing up for that. We've got our Builder Home Show coming up, which is always fun. You get to meet a lot of cool people. And also now we're just ramping up the way that we list houses. So last year it was a different marketing mentality. This year we're going after it at the knees. We're going to be doing pre-list inspections because last year, holy crap, did I get assaulted on inspections, dude. We would get a house under contract, and then they would just ask for a laundry list of garbage. And a lot of times, like, I would tell my sellers, like, let's play chicken. Let's see what happens. These guys are calling. I want to call their bluff. But sellers are emotional in that time, right? So instead of going through that and putting my sellers through that, this year we're going to be doing pre-list inspections. And I just pay for them because, dude, it's $400. And the thing is, to me, $400 goes way farther than going and taking their house off the market for a month, negotiating an inspection, 2 weeks, whatever it is, negotiating an inspection, and then the deal falling through because my seller doesn't want to replace staircases and doesn't want to replace the roof and whatever it is, right? The roof is kind of extreme, but when you're talking about those inspections, I don't want to give any reason, especially in a market where there's so few buyers out there, that my seller doesn't have the most optimized way of selling their home. So that's something that we implemented. Also, we kicked our marketing up significantly this year. So last year, it was like the AI generated videos, and we're like, okay, we'll put that on there. We'll boost it on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. Dude, it works to some extent, but like the data showed the amount of money I put into it, it didn't do nothing, right? And it was because I was scared of spending money. I was like, well, what if this house doesn't sell? The point of you being the listing agent is to sell the goddamn house, right? So this year we kicked it up a notch, and tomorrow we're going to be doing our first video with a local guy here, and he's going to bring a shift the way that we market these homes. And I mean, it's going to be awesome. So we'll actually post the video on here when it's done, because I'm excited for it. It's going to be a lot more to, invest in. I realize that some of these homes, I'm going to be investing $5,000 and $6,000 into them before they even hit the market, because in a market where there's few buyers, you have to stand out. Not only do you have to be priced where you need to be priced, and I can't emphasize that enough, you also need to be able to be the one that sticks out. You have to retain the audience interest in the home. Photos on MLS and Zillow, like, they do their thing, but you have to be in there so when somebody sees it, they're like, wow, I want to walk through that property, right? So we learned a lot over the wintertime. We learned about different photographers and their strong suits and capabilities. We've learned, learned a lot more on how to talk with sellers and buyers, because, again, last year I was just trying to get deals done. This year it's an expectation set, right? Like, when I sit down with my seller, I'm like, we need to list at this price. And last year it was a lot of, well, my neighbor's house sold for $20,000 or $40,000 more. Why don't we just list there? And at the time I didn't have the answer, but now I do. And the answer is, it's because their house is worth that. It's simple. It's not a behind the curtain question. It's just, okay, if their house sold for that much more, let's dive into it, right? So you need to understand your market. That was another thing I needed to learn, is when I walk into a listing, I need to know your neighborhood. If I don't know your neighborhood, don't hire me. I need to know exactly what's sold, what's on the market, why we're pricing the way we are. And I mean, I did to a certain extent, but this year we really kicked it up a notch, because, I have one that didn't sell last year. We were overpriced. That's on me. But this year we hit the fucking ground running, dude. We came in there. We listed at a very good price. We have professional photography redone for the third time on the house. We're doing a professional video. Like I said, tomorrow we're doing open houses. We're going to do broker open houses. We're going to be offering incentives, because this person really needs to get into a new home, right? And that's the market we're in right now. Until it shifts, well, you can't. It's not a market of just put it on the MLS and sit anymore. You have to be ready to put money into the home. which correlates to the commission, right? When I sit down with somebody, I'm not taking I did a couple of the 2% last year and stuff, and it was just like, yeah, we'll get it done. And then I listed it high, I put money into the home, and I didn't even sell it anyways. I know that my marketing plan is going to be a lot more aggressive this year, which is why I'm going to be asking for that 3% because, the way we explain it, we say 6%, 3 to the buyer's agent, 3 to the seller's agent. And we explain it that way because people do get confused. When you sit down with somebody and you're like, yeah, I'm just asking 3%, that's what's in their mind. You need to do the math and be like, okay, no. We are going to be offering a 3% commission, or I recommend it. I'm not saying you have to, right? But I recommend it because last year I did walk into a few deals where they weren't offering a buyer's agent commission, and those buyers went on to new homes because they don't have the money, nor do they want to spend the money on the realtor. I shouldn't say want to. They just don't have the money to spend 3% and then 3% on closing costs, and then they have to factor in everything else that goes into the loan and their process and moving. Like, dude, it's one of those things where, again, the market is the way it's structured, but anyways, I'm not going to get too sidetracked in that. My point is that my commissions are going to be sitting strong this year because I know what I offer and I know what I'm going to be presenting to my sellers and to my buyers. I'm working a deal right now for sale by owner. Very good to work with. I'm going to go sign paperwork later today. And the thing is like when we negotiate, they're like, we'll give you this much in commission. I'm like, absolutely not. Like, we're doing it this way, or we will find something else. Because when you're doing for sale by owners, dude, you do a lot of extra legwork. You're working with the seller, you're working with the buyer, you're representing the buyer, but you still have to kind of guide them through the process. I mean, there's a few people that know what they're doing, but dude, for sale by owners just don't know the lingo. They don't know stuff. So you're basically a teacher on top of the fact of handling a deal, right? So again, they're super nice people, but they don't know how contingencies work. They didn't know. Like they asked me a lot of questions, which is fine. It's part of the process. They're good to work with. It's better when they're at least, receptive to what you're talking about. But anyways, we're going to move into this year a lot differently. So, we talked about this a little bit, and now we're going to move into oil prices. So I've been talking about oil prices pretty heavily because even Jerome Powell stated yesterday in his speech that oil prices are going to affect the economy pretty significantly, which is not, they're not wrong, right? So until the Strait of Hormuz gets figured out and we see oil prices stabilize again, which I really don't think that we're going to be standing still here at this $96 a barrel. I think, and this, by the way, this is WTI crude oil. This is not, there's different kinds of oil. This is just the standard, right? So the standard crude oil, then this is what North Dakota offers, and it's not refined, etc. But anyways, I still think barrels of oil are going to go higher. We probably will touch that 115 in the next couple of weeks, and we might even go higher from there. It's not unheard of. It's not impossible to think of because until there's more certainty, there's just going to be a lot of changes in the market. Things are going to be volatile. That's how the economy works. So the stories that we were going to jump in today. So there's a couple of things. So we've talked about the portal wars. So first we saw the Redfin, Rocket Mortgage, and Compass partnership. Then we saw the Zillow partnership with Jeepers. It was Keller Williams and a couple of other brokerages that came out yesterday, and then 2 days ago. And then yesterday it came out stating that eXp has launched their non-exclusive coming soon syndication across 3 major platforms. For those of you that don't know, what this is creating is a concept of minimalizing where the listing goes. It's a new way to draw attention to your listings, right? Because like this particular one, eXp, they are partnering with Realtor.com, Homes.com, and ComingHome.com via Google search. And this is the Google search one's very important. So first off, coming soon to Realtor.com and Homes.com. So this means that if you're an eXp agent and you're in an MLS where it allows the coming soons, you're going to be posting them on there. This gives them a couple of benefits, and I'll explain in a sec. But comehome.com via Google search. This one's pretty fucking major because AI is really taking the market by the horns. Okay? And remember that AI was just integrated into Google a few months ago, and now it's integrating its own platform for AI. So imagine, again, where do people look for their homes? Google. You start at Google, you start at Zillow, right? The 2 places. Now, if AI is optimizing it, listing agents, get your shit together because when these homes hit the market, you need to have an explanation that's going to draw in SEO words. So when I hit the market, it needs to have factors like 2 miles away from a school, or 3 miles away from groceries, or whatever it might be, or located on golf course, things like that, because that's what people are searching for. That's what AI is going to be optimizing. So AI being integrated into this is one of the bigger partnerships next to Zillow, in my opinion, because comehome.com is a smaller name, but Google search, you guys, this is going to change the way that real estate sells. Okay. That's just what it is. That's how it is. And we have to be prepared for that. Now, again, the coming soon listings, they have to be in the compliance with local rules, but this over here, this through the integration, 170 monthly views between realtor.com, homes.com, and then again, you have the distributed by Google search, right? So that means that 100, again, it's local, right? But you're going to see a ton more capability for people to see your home before it hits the market, right? That's what these coming soons are focused on, or they're focused on, right? It's more of a company battle of wits at this point. But now think of this. Aligned with our mission to ensure fair marketplace driven by MLS transparency, sellers want clicks, not clicks, and eXp is delivering for them. What this is doing, and it says right here, sellers can achieve true price discovery. Ultimately, a public coming soon status drives more engagement, more bidders, and often a higher final sales price. This is what we need to be paying attention to. These coming soons in a market where people can't sell their homes are going to be able to get them coming soon so that they can see the interaction before it hits the market saying, coming soon, this is our price point. Is it getting a lot of traction or not? This is a tool that agents can utilize. Dude, if you are not confident in your CMAs, which you should be if you're selling homes, but if you're not confident in the CMAs, you should be able, once you can put this on here and more people can see and interact and share and save. If you have it on there, it's coming soon for 7 days, or I don't know the time frame, right? But we'll say 7 days. And within 7 days, you have 1,300 views, you have 45 saves, you've got, this many shares. Okay, perfect. That means you're priced right. Or at least you're priced close, right? I've been watching mine on Zillow for this listing that I'm talking about for the week. It feels like it's been a month, but I need to get this thing sold, right? So it's at 1,300 views. It's at 32 saves. And, in my market, that's not too bad. I'm looking around the neighborhood. Nobody's close to that. They've been on the market 60 days, 40 days, whatever, right? The one next down the street is a patio home, different style, but similar search history. So that means people are starting to look, right? People are starting to save. So we're going to get an open house this weekend, etc. But the coming soon, this is going to be a game changer for agents if you're utilizing this to your advantage. So I encourage people, if you work at eXp, to optimize. A buddy of mine, one of my closest buddies and business partners, is an eXp agent. Guarantee this dude's going to be utilizing it because it's so beneficial. Now, what makes this different from the other partnerships that we've seen in the last few days? Instead of coming soon or sending coming soon listings to single platform or platform, eXp is distributing them across multiple third-party platforms at the same time. This allows listing to reach a broader audience before they officially go live on the MLS. Again, the difference between the Compass and Redfin and Rocket partnership and the Zillow partnership is that these were very ecosystem direct, right? So the ecosystem directly, and I realized I didn't have this up for a second, but the ecosystem direct versus multiple platforms. So I do think that eXp's is actually a better partnership than Zillow's and Compass's, because you're optimizing across three platforms, not just one. And that was the thing that I think was most genius for them, because now they can go across three different platforms. Again, lots of people use Realtor.com. Lots of people use Homes.com. Homes.com, dude, they promote the shit out of that website. They promote it like Apartments.com, Homes.com, same company. Promote, right? And the thing about Homes.com is that it connects you directly to the seller, right? So, or the seller's agent, right? Zillow it can be both, and Realtor.com, it can be both, etc. But that's why Homes.com is more unique. They're starting to be more optimized in this market. I think they're going to be a bigger name in the next few years. I think they're going to lead to a lot more double-sided deals, which in turn will lead to probably commissions being brought down slightly, because I think Some agents are going to be pretty firm on that 6%, but some agents are going to be like, yeah, man, I'm handling both sides of the deal. I can do it for 4 or 5% or whatever. Personally, I like to do 6% because now you're taking on a lot more risk, but another conversation for another day. So anyways, this partnership with eXp is going to be a lot more beneficial, not a lot more, but more beneficial in my opinion than just these two, because again, it's ecosystem driven and this one's not. If a listing is being marketed publicly, it should be accessible across multiple platforms, not limited to just one. Again, like I just talked about. So I like to highlight these a little bit so I know what we're talking about. So the next big conversation is the Compass dismisses the lawsuit against Zillow after policy update. So what really sprung all of this into motion? Well, Compass sued Zillow on their private listing ban. So basically Zillow kept the whole point of this was, okay, Compass didn't have enough evidence to show that real competitive harm, credible evidence of collusion, or strong likelihood of winning in a monopoly claims. So they were claiming that there was a monopolization behind Zillow, and that they by creating and offering the coming soon listings, that it was a monopolization of the market. So, which is funny because Compass comes out first with the first partnership with Redfin saying, we're only going to use you for coming soon. So, I mean, you monopolized it right there. And I think that really struck it. But anyways, this is a little bit of an older article. I just kind of wanted to touch on it. But in the response, the CEO talked about, how they were blocked from moving forward with preventing Zillow from bringing private listings and coming soon listings. Today's decision is not a loss on our lawsuit. Continues forward. In Zillow's internal strategy document, Zillow said Zillow will punish the agent for choosing to put their listings on alternative networks. So it was just a battle of who's better, we're better, whatever, right? It's a I don't even know how to put it. It's like they started a problem and now they dropped it because the problem became bigger. Now you have competition. Now it's more agents and brokerages are really going to start picking their favorites, right? And especially certain brokerages, they have the incentivization now to partner. And again, all of this rambling that I'm doing, it's leading towards AI optimization. You need to be optimizing how you're doing your market, how you're doing your marketing, how you're setting up these listings, because the future is not Zillow search anymore. It's every website. It's Google. It's SEO words. It's words and phrases that an AI is going to pick up and pull in, right? Because if you're an agent, there's ways to optimize yourself on AI. So if they're Google using ChatGPT and they're saying who's the best agent in Bismarck, North Dakota, it's not going to be the top producer. It's going to be who optimized themselves the most in AI. Excuse me. Every agent needs to be focusing on that. Now, what a day in real estate, man. What a day in shifting markets. This is crazy. So, and this is why we just wanted to touch on this lastly. Compass dismisses lawsuit against Zillow after policy update. So the launch of the Zillow preview to expand visibility on pre-markets, introduced after 2 key updates yesterday, an update to its listing access standards. So they basically just changed their access standards for the pre-listing, and again, narrows down to the partnership. So agents, as you're moving through this year, get better with AI, get better at optimizing, and you're going to see a lot of people that are going to complain about this. Don't be that agent. Focus on how you can provide more value to your client, and understanding this stuff is what's going to get you there. I appreciate you taking the time to watch. I hope you have a great day. Tomorrow's going to be another beautiful day in real estate. Go sell some homes.